Did you see the Last Dance? You check that one out?
I did. Of course, man. I saw that.
What do you think of the whole conversation about Jordan's demeanor with his teammates and his leadership skills and the way he went about it?
Yeah, I think people were a little surprised by it because unless to see it from the inside, you look at. I think they see Michael Jordan in a different light. I mean, he was brutal. I mean, he was hard on a lot of his teammates. But I'm not surprised by that, and I've seen that with great leaders, and I've seen that with really talented players. He wants to be great, and he expects everybody else to be the same way. And he held them to a standard and held them accountable. And it might have been his style is different than how I use my leadership style, but that's the way Michael Jordan felt he had to motivate players. And I wasn't like a lot of people like, man, a lot of people were upset and in their eyes, it might have diminished Michael Jordan's kind of this stellar image that he had, but it didn't take away from, in my standpoint, it didn't take away from the way I see Michael Jordan.
Well, I mean, the thing that got me, it didn't change the way I looked at Jordan either.
Okay, good.
But no, not at all. I mean, shoot, you saw me in episode 10 with hair. I mean, I was covering it at the time.
I know.
You saw that.
I saw a little young Rich Eisen.
You saw that, right? I mean, I was there. I was there. I was covering it. I was the guy sitting next to Stuart Scott, so I couldn't get a sniff of the Jordan highlights on SportsCenter. I couldn't even do that. So, so it didn't change my opinion of him at all. It's him saying...
I'm surprised, though. You know, I'm surprised, though, Rich. I'm surprised how much I didn't know he had. I mean, the man had a cigar everywhere he went. Like, he smoked a cigar 24 hours a day. I was shocked by that. I didn't realize.
No, yep. And to this day, even too. But no, the thing that got me is that he said if you disagreed with it, I'm paraphrasing here, then you haven't won anything. And, there's been a lot of guys, maybe didn't win 6 and lose 0 in the opportunities that he made it to the finals. But, I mean, he did get knocked off before he won his first three-peat, and then he did, come back to the point where he wasn't physically able to compete for a championship before another three-peat. But, I mean, like, what is Elway like? I mean, Elway's a goat.
Like that. Yeah,
he was not like that, right? What was he like? What was he like?
No, but there's different leadership styles, and we know that. And there's different players who they play different roles. John's leadership style was he was going to go play and ball out, and that's the way he led. And he would rarely say anything, and if he said something, it was very significant. I mean, it meant something. But it might be the fact that it's two different sports too. I mean, because I hear Kobe Bryant was pretty, verbal about his leadership style. And in football, you got so many players. Like, you're not going to be out there talking to everybody like that. That's just too much going on. But John was about handling his business, leading by example. If he had to say something to you, he would. But for John, man, just to get on the field with him, the presence of John Elway made me have to play better. I had to gain his respect. I had to make sure that I didn't mess up, that I was coming to bring my A game every time I played because I had to answer to him. And you didn't want to let him down. You felt like he had more authority than the coaches. It's like Peyton Manning. When Peyton Manning's on the field, man, you feel like that's the person that I got to play for this guy. Otherwise, I'm not going to be in this huddle. And so it was a different leadership style. But yeah, I wasn't shocked by it.
Yeah,
demanding.
Yeah, I know. And, I mentioned that to Shaq when he came on, and Shaq's like, what do you think I was like? You know what I mean? That it's not just, specific to Michael, that there's a certain demanding quality that, you would think maybe every Hall of Famer has it, but that's the difference between being great and all-time great in many people's minds, right? And certainly you excuse it if it's particularly rough when it results in 6 championships and no losses in 6 NBA finals, Yeah, and you can say the same thing for coaches too, Rich. I mean, there's coaches who they don't bite their tongue. You talking about like Bill Parcells? He was rough, like he was straight direct. You listen to Bill Belichick and how his style is,
And then you have some coaches like, Mike Shanahan, who wasn't like that. Or Pete Carroll or some other coaches, they have just different styles. And, as long as you're winning and you're successful, people will excuse it. They'll be like, okay, he's rough. He's a little abrasive, but he's winning and got their attention. And people just, they accept it.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.